Hello again, everyone. How's it going? Alrighty, got another story time for you. This one's all about bugs. Yeah, you know those creepy crawly things that none of us seem to like? Yep. Oh, and this is specifically about a very particular type of bug, and that would be earwigs, as the title suggests. Anyways, yeah, it's probably the most terrifying earwig story that I've had, and I'm slightly a little bit afraid of earwigs. Not as bad as other weird things like, more so jellyfish than that, but that's a different story. I've never been stung, so, but it's just, maybe I'll save that for another story. Anyways, so, about the earwigs. Well, this involves a lot of them, and I'm meaning a lot. More than you can probably even imagine. Alright, so, when I was in, I think it was probably in between preschool and kindergarten. I had this pedal car that was all like plastic frame, hollow on the inside and stuff. And the way it would go is you pedal your it was feet, and it had these cables that would like make the wheels in the back turn, right? And it had these slots in the back where you could put on this fake motor that would kind of clip into the back of it. Eventually that broke, and I couldn't have that on the back of it anymore. And it was just for cosmetic reasons and stuff. So it wasn't like anything that was important. Anyways, so there was a neighbor that lived on our block, and there was a kid a little bit younger than me at the time, and he wanted to ride the pedal car. So I explained to him how to make it work and stuff, and he immediately just wanted to ride it in the street. And I was like, no, don't ride it in the street. Just do it on the driveway or the sidewalk, because that's what I would do when I was a kid, And I was told never to play in the street, but he insisted on riding it in the street. So he climbs on and he starts to pedal the thing off of the curb, and then it kind of like dropped down and hit the back of the curb, and he got it stuck, because he couldn't pedal it up out of the curb. So since I was a little older and a little bit bigger, he asks me if he can help me get it up onto the street for him. So I was like, yeah, sure, okay. And so he climbs off and he sits down on the curb. And I start to climb on, and right when I'm starting to, a ton, like a nest of earwigs start to pour out of the back of that thing, like where those slots were. And there was I can't even imagine the number. It had to have been in the thousands of earwigs that started pouring out of the back of that thing. And then the direction that they went was towards the kid that was sitting on the curb. And he sat there, and he let these earwigs begin to cover him completely. And he was wearing a yellow jumper, so it was kind of like as the yellow jumper gradually started to turn brown as these earwigs slowly moved up his body. And I didn't know what to do. I was terrified. I remember I was barely in kindergarten, and right just then, my mom comes out onto the back porch and calls to me to come to dinner, because the house that I lived in was adjacent. It was actually across the street from this kid's house on a corner, so the backyard kind of faced towards the direction of where this other house was. And you're probably wondering, how did I get across the street, with my pedal car? I was like, well, I looked both ways before I crossed, so that's how I was able to do that. And so she calls me in, and I yell to my mom. I'm like, I can't remember this kid's name anymore, and I'm like, so-and-so is, getting covered in earwigs, and she must have misunderstood what I said or something, because my mom's all like, oh, you can play with your friend later, come, it's time to come to dinner. And I'm like, but earwigs, and I even yelled to the kid, I'm like, you got earwigs on you, and I'm like, brush them off. And he just sat there, he didn't brush them off, he just looked at me, kind of like, maybe he was in shock or something, he kind of looked at me like a deer looks at oncoming headlights, kind of like that, just blank-faced and stuff. And I panicked. I didn't know what to do, so I just grabbed my pedal car and then did the thing, looked both ways before I crossed the street and stuff, and didn't look back. The last time I looked back, the earwigs were up to about his shoulders, and I can't even imagine what happened after that. If the kid eventually panicked, or something, or what his parents thought when they found him covered with earwigs. And you see, as a kid, I always thought that earwigs, they got their name because they went inside your ear, but that's actually not what they do. If you're wondering what these things look like too, they're basically an elongated insect that's got pinchers on its butt. And but that myth about them going in your ear, I mean, apparently that gets around, because I have German family, and when, you know, there's been times when my family's come over here from Germany, and my cousin saw an earwig once, and he immediately started going, "Oh, it goes in the ear, it goes in the ear." So even he thought that too, and that's actually not the case. They don't actually go into your ear. I don't know how they got the name, but it's just kind of like a weird thing. And then it's like, the pinchers on their butts, they actually use to burrow through the dirt. So that's why it's on their rear end and not on the front of their head, which would make more sense. You know, I have no idea. Bugs are strange. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why I don't like earwigs, because of seeing that. And I hope that I never see that many earwigs again, because that was too many. And when I think back about that, you know, that could have been me. I could have been the one covered in the earwigs, because I didn't even know the earwigs were nesting inside that thing. And for like the longest time, I was actually afraid to ride that thing. And then, like, even after that, like whenever I left it out for a long time out in the backyard, I'd go over and pick up the back end of it and then let it drop, you know, so that way the vibrations or whatever, if there was anything else nesting inside, that would just, you know, startle and like climb out of the holes in the back. And I never actually saw that happen again, so I don't know. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your interesting and scary bug time stories in the comments and stuff. Love to hear it. Anyway, so if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. And I guess that's going to be all for this one. Until next time, stay safe out there. Stay away from bugs. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.